Hello, everyone. I'm here with Chel Wong, fellow composer and audio person at GDC, and this is lovely Yerba Buena Park. I guess the main thrust of what I want to talk to you and to Mason about is your career arc and how you kind of got started off, and because I know that each of you is quite established in your career. Meanwhile, there's a lot of musicians trying to get into game audio who I'm sure would be kind of curious about your story.
The first thing I have to say is that I got very lucky because it's a lot of luck, and you can do everything right and still have a hard time finding work because it's luck. But I will say that as much as I have to remind myself, people remind me too that I put a lot of work into networking. And so before the pandemic, when I was like a baby who didn't know anything about composing, and I was just getting started, I was going to 5 or 6 meetups in the Boston area every month. And it took me about 5 months of doing that every month to find my first contract. And then about a couple months later, I ended up finding Kine, which is the biggest game that I worked on since so far. And once the pandemic happened, I got invited to some networking group, and I loved it. I also just unironically love networking in the games industry just because everyone's like really cool and nice. And so like I kind of do more than what a normal human being should do, admittedly. And my friends kind of meme on me for that, but I feel like I owe a huge amount of my career to this group called The Gig, and I just am very thankful to my friends for the support. But yeah, I guess even when I had even when Kine came out and I like won an award for it, which was kind of wild, there's still I know, right? There's still very much a period of time where I couldn't find work. I was working 4 jobs at the same time, doing game audio and teaching trombone lessons and doing after school program, and 35 hours a week of pushing shopping carts at Costco. So like you do what you gotta do to sustain yourself, and there's no shame in that. A lot of people are working multiple jobs. It's very hard to get consistent work, and it takes a while to be able to sustain yourself on various jobs, let alone like one. And I think this past year, like I actually made a sustainable income on like just game audio, which is like kind of crazy to me. Thank you. So if you're working multiple jobs, that doesn't make you any less legitimate. It's just part of the process, really. And who knows, there might be a point where I have to take on work again that's not game audio, and if that's the case, that doesn't make me any less of a game composer. So that's at least the first biggest thing I want to say.
Cool. Yeah, that's really helpful, because I feel like it can there's definitely a lot of imposter syndrome, right? And there's a lot of like, until I'm Austin Wintory or Gareth Coker or something like that, like I am not a composer. I think can be a pervasive feeling. You're a composer as soon as you write a song.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You're speaking at PAX East in a couple weeks.
I'm giving it. All right, so for GDC, I'm giving a talk this Friday at 1:30. I don't know if this video is coming up before or after that, but
it won't.
So I'll be doing that anyways. It'll be about game jams. Maybe it'll be in the vault later. I don't know. Well,
awesome.
Maybe it'll be on YouTube. But for PAX East, I'm doing like 4 or 5 panels. I've lost count. One of them is about queer representation in the gaming space. One of them is soundtrack Scramble, which I did a previous year, where several game composers and I are given a mood, and so last year I was given Mysterious, and then we spin a digital wheel and we get a random song, and I was given the Smash Ultimate theme, which was hilarious because I used to compete in Smash.
Nice.
And so then we just do that for like an hour and just like go. And like all of us are like, oh god, that's not enough time. And some people wrote some incredibly amazing things. So I'm doing that again. We're pre-recording the composition, but talking about it live. And I'm trying to think what else I'm doing. I think we're making a video game in 1 hour for on stage, and it's going to be absolute chaos.
Awesome.
And actually, this is relevant. One of the talks that I'm doing is finding work from wherever you are, like if you're not in a active hub necessarily. And so me and several other composers are going to be talking about like networking online and things that we got to do. So like that's pretty relevant.
Super relevant. The panel you're in, it was titled something like "Game Jams to Industry and Back."
Yes.
So tell me about your experience with game jams and kind of how important they were or unimportant they were in leading to kind of more established non-game jam gigs.
So for everyone that's not going to be able to talk, basically the short and sweet of it is that game jams are a really great non-stress environment, or at least like low-stakes environment, I should say. A low-stakes environment to be able to try different things and experiment and learn and grow without any real fear of failure. When you first start out and you're like, I've never written music for a video game, do a game jam, and once you have, well, now you're a game composer for realsies, and no one can take that away from you. So, as for like the transition, I've actually never done a game jam in person. I've only done them online, and there are some friends that I've only met through doing game jams. I was asked to do some music for OnlyCans, which was kind of like a game jam. It was like a very short development cycle, just like bing, bang, boom.
Yeah.
But
OnlyCans like OnlyFans?
Yeah, OnlyCans is a really silly video game that's free on Steam. Oddly enough, it has overwhelmingly positive reviews.
Nice.
Wear headphones. And besides that, though, I guess it's really just a matter of like the technical skills you develop are learning the entire game development process in a very short amount of time between pre-production, production, and like closing out the game. You also get better at soft skills with like communicating with your teammate very concisely and quickly what you're looking for, what you need to do, and closely collaborating. And you get to learn other parts of the development, even though I don't know how to code, but at least I can see what it looks like with other people working together and like, let's slap this in and let's try this. And I gotta adjust to certain things. And so you just learn on the fly really quickly. And so a couple of game jams gives you a ton of experience.
It's also a form of networking that kind of goes a little deeper than just meeting someone, right?
It hasn't necessarily been the case for me, but many people I know were on a game jam with someone, and then they were like, "You're great to work with. Let's do something else together." Some people get work out of game jams. Some people's game jams become a bigger project afterwards.
Right.
And for me, like, you just get to do a cool, silly thing in a very short amount of time and be like, I got to do something fun that I haven't before, and have some hands in other parts of the process, like design, or if you want to code or do art, like you can, nothing's stopping you.
Right. Makes total sense. And do you still do them, or do you find you don't have as much time to anymore?
When I was starting out, I was trying to do as many as possible just to get experience. I've definitely slowed down. But once in a while, I'll participate a little bit. GMTK 20 Jam, I did, and I was like part of the development, and I did some sound effects, and I recorded some silly voice lines and whatnot. And of course, I wrote music with my friends. I think it was GMTK Jam 21 or a different game jam. They asked if I wanted to do it again, and I will write a song very quickly for you, but I was much more hands off. So I still felt really good about that song because I like got the mood across. But you can put in as much time and energy as you want to in a jam, as long as you're communicating with your team. But like, some people crunch really hard because there's not that much time.
Right.
And I, for one, I'm just like, no, I'm just going to do less.
Sure. Yeah. Just control the scope.
So yeah, I guess that was the last game jam I did. I think it was GMTK 21.
Like, how many have you done?
My brain says about a dozen. I don't know if that's right.
Okay, but it feels like roughly a dozen.
Yeah, maybe 10. I want to say between 8 and 12. Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Some of them are, again, some of them I was a lot more hands-on with. I was doing design. I was helping out with art. I was just trying to do everything. And I want to make a really great game. And other times I'm like, oh, I'm busy. I can squeeze in a song maybe. And other times it's just like, I can't. I'm busy. So.
Right. Going forward, are your goals to be freelance or in-house?
So I've thought about this a lot, actually. On one hand, I really like being freelance because I have narcolepsy, which is not officially seen as a disability, but effectively controls a lot of my life. And so I simply just don't have the energy to sustain a full 8-hour workday for 5 days straight. I can't do that. Networking is not the same battery, thankfully, but I like the freedom of being able to do things on my own time, and I'm always very punctual with my deliverables. So it's not an issue. I'm very good at communicating. If for some reason anything is the problem, I always just tell people ahead of time. And so I like this freedom. I also get to control what things I want to do and work on. But of course, if you are like me and you're cool with like rapidly networking and meeting lots of people, and also are okay with negotiating,
Yep.
like I'm fine. I embrace that.
Yeah.
An in-house position, I think for me it'd be really great if it was like a super giant game situation. Like Darren Korb just has one of the best studios to work with ever, and they make amazing video games. That would be really cool if it was like an indie studio like that, but otherwise I'm not sure if that's necessarily feasible with just the existence of those jobs. And like I don't want to necessarily do AAA. Maybe like one AAA game ever and then be one and done.
Call it done.
Yeah, I was an in-house composer for like a mobile game for a brief period of time.
Okay.
And I was really proud of the work I did, but it was certainly, the game was not really something I was very excited about, and I had some issues with the team. But yeah, I'm very happy to freelance. I've potentially thought about like sizing up to make a team, which as a team would be freelance, but theoretically everyone that worked on that would it would be like a salaried position. But
Right.
that's a very hypothetical thing, and I'm thinking about that like down the line. I'm at a crossroads right now where I'll finish up these contracts I'm currently working on, and I might just stick it out by myself, or I might like bring on other people. We'll see.
That's an interesting topic that I've thought a lot about too. Like the idea of collectivization among freelancers, like and sort of sharing in the networking. And I've kind of been trying to build my own thing that's sort of like that.
Oh, yeah?
So it's a little between like, it's a little, I guess like a collective can be a little between the informal arrangement of like, audio people refer each other for work is the informal arrangement. And maximally formal is that you're like on an actual team. What's sort of in between those is like, my idea at least is that for the people in the collective, I help to get them work, and or if I come across work that I'm not the best person for, but someone who I know is, I give it to them.
Yes.
And take a finder's fee as part of finding it for them.
I need to take a finder's fee for the amount of work that I refer to other people.
Yeah. You don't? You just give it?
Not right now. But I thought about like maybe if I do a co-op and I have like a team of people, we all function individually, but like if things need to size up, if you sign contracts with a co-op, you don't necessarily need to onboard people on NDA. You can just be like, hey, help me out a little bit here and there. Or like, hey, if we need to get another teammate, you don't need to necessarily deal with more legal stuff. Like we'll need more budget or whatever if you need more stuff. But it's a thought. I've been entertaining this thought. We'll see if I actually go through with it, because the company's a lot of work, a lot of overhead, a lot of things, and making sure people get paid.
Totally. I feel like that's part of what's difficult about this as a career path. The fact that there's just like not institutions in place. Like it's different from being an animator or something like that. Like there's not at least only like the largest. It seems to me that only fairly large budget games have music teams, and there's this sort of cultural idea from Hollywood, pretty much, of hiring like one maestro who's just going to come up with all the music.
They're mostly ghostwriters in Hollywood too.
Right.
I would want to credit everyone that works on a project.
Makes sense.
So.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I don't like the concept of ghostwriting. Bringing on more help is different than ghostwriting. I think you can get more help and you can work together. Like I know several people who have teamed up. They've done like EPs together, and they cross promote, and they work together on like a project that, and they get the in a sense share in the wealth of certain things.
Right.
And that's been really helpful for them. These are people who I feel like started after I started to already get kind of my footing. But if I was in that position, I absolutely would have been like, oh, like let's collab.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe I still will. If I find something that I don't have the capacity for, but I still really want to do, I might try and participate to an extent and see how much of the work I can split.
Right. The idea of ghostwriting kind of reinforces this stereotype of like the genius solitary composer, which to me, honestly, that's actually a difficult part. Like the isolation is a little challenging.
Yeah.
Right? Like it'd be cool to have a bunch of friends that you work with.
Yeah.
Right? What is your proudest work?
So I guess right now of the things that I can actually talk about, Kine it's really easy to just point at Kine. It was two things that I really wanted to do. I wanted to do a music game and a puzzle game, and like my first launched game. It was not the first one I started on, but it was the first one to actually launch. It was both, and the soundtrack is honestly pretty intricate. It is over a fixed bass line that never stops.
Wow.
And the levels, there are several levels, and they come in sets. And so as you progress through these sets of levels, new layers of music get added on top. And they're different for each different set. And so this entire soundtrack is modular, and it builds vertically. So as you progress through the levels, they become more complex. So does the music. And so I will never do that again because it's really hard. And there are some things that I definitely can give myself criticism at certain things and the actual way it interacts with gameplay. But I'm still really proud of. It was really hard.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that it has gotten acknowledged. I won Best Audio for this one conference, and it kind of still blows my mind that it exists. I was nominated for a Gang Award for Best Sound Design in a social or casual game, and like I recorded a bunch of instrument banks for trombone and accordion, and so that was nice that got acknowledged. I lost to Call of Duty Mobile, which is like, yeah, that makes sense. There's like a lot of people there, and it's Call of Duty, of course. I'm just me, and help from Patrick Balthrop, who did some piano stuff, and the first, like the major audio pass and fixing stuff.
Yeah.
So it was like 2-ish people that did my audio, and we got nominated alongside Call of Duty and Hearthstone.
Wow.
And it's like, so I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of my charity album that I made. I'm proud of. I'm still very much proud of the work I'm doing on Whisker Squadron and She Dreams Elsewhere, and I'm really excited to talk about this NDA thing that I'm doing, but I can't yet. So
that's awesome. Yeah, it sounds like you've got a lot of things that you're excited about.
Yeah, I'm very excited about my career, and I still feel like I'm very much learning and growing, but it's kind of wild for people to like know who I am before I meet them.
Yeah,
and that's getting weird. I'm getting a little used to it, but I'm still very much like, oh, geez, I'm being perceived.
Indeed.
But I've been in this industry about 5 years. Okay. When I first started out, I'm like, oh, geez, think of like where I could be if I started blah 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 before, and like obviously like I was in a different career, and so a lot has happened in these 5 years, and I have a lot of fight left in me. So I plan on sticking around for a long time because it has not remotely gotten old. I have so many things that I want to do and create and help be a part of, and I want to do cool things with cool people.
Hell yeah. yeah, I think that's something that that draws us all to it.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you would say to composers who are trying to get their start in their career in games?
The first thing I want to say is don't sell yourself short. You are an expert, whether or not you actually believe it. If you say you are, it will slowly become more true every day. And the other thing I want to say is don't give up. If you really, really want this, it's hard. It's so hard to make this work. I love my job. I love my life. It is a lot of work. And it has gone through a lot of difficult patches and growing pains and all these sorts of things. And I am so thankful for it. It's hard. And so there are times that I was really struggling. But I think I honestly do believe if you keep at it and you are in a community with other people who are also trying to do the same thing, and you lift each other up and you help each other out and support each other as a community, you will all move forward together. And I remember I heard Jeff Tangsock say, there is enough work for all of us to succeed. And I want to believe that he's right. Sometimes it feels like there's way more composers than work, but there's so many games. I'm an optimist. I'm a pragmatist still. And so I want to believe that he's right, but it's hard. And so you can do this. That's my advice today.
Oh yeah. Thanks so much, Chel. It was really nice to meet you.
Thank you for having me again.
Yeah.